Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashad Deshatarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukhaṁ karoti vācālam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkrupatamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Om Apavitra Pavitro Va Sarva Vasangato Piva Yasmaret Pundarikaksham Sabhashyabhyantaram Sujihi Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Om Tadvishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surayo Divivachiksharatatam Sadviprasa Vipanyamo Jagruham Sasamindate Vishnu Yat Paramam Padam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Thank you very much again, Raju Prabhu, Muralidhar Prabhu. Okay, this is a time kids are taking care, preparation for the food, bhoga for the Lord, and for the tiffin boxes for kids and office work. This time, sometimes a devotee is joining like 8:30. It's okay, understandable, but it's okay. Uh, we have to continue. We have to regularly recite, read, you know, chant. Okay, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto
Everybody
3.
busy those nowadays.
Yeah,
Like
correct. It's okay. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, entitled as The Status Quo, Chapter 27, Understanding Material Nature. Understanding Material Nature. Text 11. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A liberated soul realizes the absolute personality of Godhead, who is transcendental and who is manifest as a reflection even in the false ego. He is the support of the material cause and he enters into everything. He is absolute, one without a second, and he is the eyes of the illusory energy. Purport. A pure devotee can see the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in everything materially manifested. He is present there only as a reflection, but a pure devotee can realize that in the darkness of material illusion, the only light is the Supreme Lord, who is its support. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that the background of the material manifestation is Lord Krishna. And as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, Krishna is the cause of all causes. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the Supreme Lord, by his partial or plenary expansion, is present not only within this universe and each and every universe, but in every atom. The space between atoms, although is one without a second. Atoms and between space also. He is one without a second. Absolute truth is the one, that is Krishna. No doubt, no question, nothing. Without a second, we have to understand. He is the Supreme Personality of God. The word Advayam, without a second, which is used in these words, indicates that although the Supreme Personality of God is represented in everything, including the atoms, is not divided. His presence in everything is explained in the next verse. Important verse, yeah. Okay, bro. Next. Text 12. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The presence of the Supreme Lord can be realized just as the sun is realized first as a reflection on water and again on a second reflection on the wall of a room, although the sun itself is situated in the sky. Purport. The example given herewith is perfect. The sun is situated in the sky, far away from the surface of the earth, but its reflection can be seen in a pot of water in the corner of a room. The room is dark and the sun is far away in the sky, but the sun's reflection on the water illuminates the darkness of the room. A pure devotee can realize the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in everything by the reflection of his energy. In the Vishnu Purana, it is stated that as the presence of fire is understood by heat and light, so the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although one without a second, is perceived everywhere by the diffusion of his different energies. It is confirmed in the Ishopanishad that the presence of the Lord is perceived everywhere by the liberated soul. just as the sunshine and the reflection can be perceived everywhere, although the sun is situated far away from the surface of the globe. Yeah, sun's presence. ఎక్కడో కొన్ని మిలియన్స్ ఆఫ్ మైల్స్ దూరంలో ఉన్న సన్ ప్లానెట్, ద సన్ రేస్ రిఫ్లెక్టెడ్ ఆన్ ద ఎర్త్, దట్ త్రూ ద ఎర్త్, ద రూమ్ స్మాల్ రూమ్, మనకు తెలుస్తుంది కదా ఒక చిన్న రూమ్లో డార్క్నెస్ ఉంటే మార్నింగ్ కాగానే మంచిగా ఎండ వస్తే ఎంత వెలుగుస్తుంది చూడండి. సో దట్స్ వేర్ ఇన్ ప్రెసెన్స్ ఆఫ్ ద సుప్రీం లార్డ్ as a super soul and his creation every atom is always there. Okay, Prabhu. Next. Text 13. Text 13. Translation proposed by Srila Prabhupada. ఇది అయిన తర్వాత మళ్ళీ మీరు చదవండి. The self-realized soul is thus reflected first in the threefold ego and then in the body, senses and mind. Purport. The conditioned soul thinks, I am this body, but a liberated soul thinks, I am not this body. I am spirit soul. Aham Brahmasmi. This I am is called ego, or identification of the self. I am this body, or everything in relationship to the body is mind, is called false ego. But when one is self is realized and thinks that he is an eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord, that identification is real ego. One conception is in the darkness of the threefold qualities of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, and the other is in the pure state of goodness, called Shuddha Sattva or Vasudeva. When we say that we give up our ego, this means that we give up our false ego. But real ego is always present. When one is reflected through the material contamination of the body and mind in false identification, he is in the conditional state. But when he is reflected in the pure stage, he is called liberated. The identification of oneself with the material position in the conditional stage must be purified, and one must identify himself in relationship with the Supreme Lord. In the conditioned state, one accepts everything as an object of sense gratification. And in the liberated state, one accepts everything for the service of the Supreme Lord. Very nice, huh? So nice. One accepts everything as an object of sense gratification. False ego, I am this body. That tendency, that motivation, I am this body, that's where sense gratification. Whereas true ego, it is under the self-realization path. It is under the understanding I am the servant of Supreme Lord. That is true ego. I am servant of the Supreme Lord. False ego, Krishna is my servant. Opposite. Is the actual liberated state of a living entity. Otherwise, both accepting and rejecting on the material platform are in the wideness or impersonalism or imperfect conditions for the pure soul. By the understanding of the pure soul, by understanding of the pure soul, called Satyadrik, one can see everything as a reflection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A concrete example can be given in this connection. A conditioned soul sees a very beautiful rose, and he thinks that the nice aromatic flower should be used for his own sense gratification. This is one kind of vision. One kind of vision. A liberated soul, however, sees the same flower as a reflection of the Supreme Lord. He thinks this beautiful flower is made possible by the superior energy of the Supreme Lord. అంతే కదా, ల్యాబ్లలో తయారు చేసింది కాదు కదా, ప్రకృతిలో తయారైంది కదా. Therefore, it belongs to the Supreme Lord and should be utilized in his service. These are two kinds of vision. The conditioned soul sees the flower for his own enjoyment, and the devotee sees the flower as an object to be used in the service of the Bale word as an object to be used in the service of the Lord. In the same way, one can see the reflection of the Supreme Lord in one's own senses, mind, and body, in everything. With that corrected vision, one can engage everything in the service of the Lord. It is stated in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that one who has engaged everything, his vital energy, his wealth, his influence, and his words in the service of the Lord, or who desires to engage all these in the service of the Lord, no matter how he is situated, is to be considered a liberated soul, or Satyadruk. Such a man has understood things as they are. So, as we are situated in the material world, we are practicing bhakti yoga. We don't need to worry, I am conditioned. No, we are actually working on the liberated platform, because as all of our senses using in Krishna's service, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktiruchate. Divide of all designations. What is the designation? Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Tatparena Nirmanam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktiruchate. What is that? Identification of the body means is a false ego. I am identifying with them. I am American, I'm Indian, I'm doctor, I'm software architect, blah 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 blah, like that. So when we use our senses, that means we feel, we would understand ourselves are we are a eternal servants of Krishna. Jivera Swarupai, Krishnera Nityadas. Our Gauranga Mahaprabhu given instruction, teachings. Jivera Swarupai, Krishnera Nityadas. So Nityadas, what we need to do? Rishikena, Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktiruchate. Engage in senses, engage our senses in service of the Supreme Lord. Best example we always quote. What is that? Ambarisha Maharaja. How he engages the senses of the Supreme Lord, we all know. So like that. So when we use our senses, that means we are purifying our false ego, and we are working on real true ego actually. Mm. Ego is always there, but false ego in material condition, true ego in spiritual condition. Hari Krishna. Now next continue, Prabhu. Ask. It's time to restart, anta. Hari bol.
Yes, Prabhuji.
You all continue. I'll be here, Prabhu, sometime. చూద్దాం. నాకు కొంచెం పని ఉంది. ఒకవేళ మీరు 9 o'clock తర్వాత, if I am available, I'll continue with the sloka recitation also. కొంచెం పని ఉంది. I'll be here. I'll be here in hearing mode. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Lalit Man Prabhuji, are you available to read?
Yes, Prabhu, I am able to read, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Please read.
Read on December 14. Okay. Although a devotee appears to be immersed in the 5 material elements, the objects of material enjoyment, the material senses, and material mind and intelligence, he is understood to be awake and to be freed from the false ego. Purport by His Divine Grace. The explanation by Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of how a person can be liberated even in his body, in this body, is more elaborately explained in this verse. The living entity who has become Satyadrik, who realizes his position in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, may remain apparently merged in the 5 elements of the matter, the 5 material sense objects, the 10 senses, the mind, and the intelligence. But still, he is considered to be awake and to be freed from the reaction of false ego. Here, the word Leena is very significant. The Mayavadi philosophers recommend merging in the impersonal effulgence of Brahman. That is their ultimate goal or destination. That merging is also mentioned here. But in spite of merging, one can keep his individuality. The example given by the Jiva Goswami is that a green bird that enters a green tree appears to merge in the color of the greenness. But actually, the bird does not lose its individuality. Similarly, a living entity merged either in the material nature or in the spiritual nature does not give up his individuality. Real individuality is to understand oneself to be eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. This information is received from the mouth of the Lord Chaitanya. He said clearly, upon the inquiry of Sanatana Goswami, that a living entity is servitor of Krishna eternally. Krishna also confirms in Bhagavad Gita that the living entity is eternally his part and parcel. The part and parcel is meant to serve the whole. This is individuality. It is so even in this material existence, when the living entity apparently merges in matter. His gross body is made up of 5 elements. His subtle body is made of mind, intelligence, false ego, and contaminated consciousness. And he has 5 active senses and 5 knowledge acquiring senses. In this way, he merges in matter. But even while merged in the 24 elements of the matter, he can keep his individuality as an eternal servitor of the Lord, either in the spiritual nature or in the material nature. Such a servitor is to be considered a liberated soul. That is the explanation of authorities, and it is confirmed in this verse. Very. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you can read one more, Prabhuji, if possible.
Em Prabhu?
Inkoti chadutara, Prabhuji?
Acha, one more. Okay.
Because less people only, Prabhuji. Yeah, you can read.
as seer.
ప్రభుజీ
But
మీ
because
వాయిస్ అవుతుంది. హరే కృష్ణ.
వినపడట్లేదు?
ఇంతకుముందు బాగా వచ్చింది ప్రభుజీ, లాస్ట్ ఇప్పుడు కొంచెం. హరే కృష్ణ. హరే కృష్ణ ప్రభుజీ, వెళ్తుంది ప్రభుజీ. వినిపిస్తలేదు ప్రభుజీ. ఇందాక బాగానే ఉంది ప్రభుజీ, ఫస్ట్ చదివినప్పుడు. హరే కృష్ణ.
Yeah, Prabhu, better give it to other devotee now. I'll do after 5 minutes.
ఓకే ప్రభుజీ.
ఇప్పుడు బాగుందా మళ్ళీ?
ఇప్పుడు బాగుంది మళ్ళీ.
అదే ప్లేస్ లో ఉన్నాను ప్రభు, నెట్వర్క్ అట్లా ఉన్నది. ఓకే. The living entity am I audible right now?
Yeah, yes ప్రభుజీ.
Yeah, the living entity can vividly feel his existence as the seer, but because of his disappearance of the ego during the state of deep sleep, he falsely takes himself to be lost, like a man who has lost his fortune and feels distrust, thinking himself to be lost. Only in ignorance does a living entity think that he is lost. If by attainment of knowledge he comes to the real position of his eternal existence, he knows that he is not lost. An appropriate example is mentioned herein. Nashtavitta ivaturaha. A person who has lost a great sum of money may think that he is lost, but actually he is not lost. Only his money is lost. But due to his absorption in the money or identification with the money, he thinks that he is lost. Similarly, when we falsely identify with the matter as our field of activities, we think that we are lost, although actually we are not. As soon as a person is awakened to the pure knowledge of understanding that he is an eternal servant of the Lord, his own real position is revived. A living entity can never be lost. When one forgets his identity in deep sleep, he becomes absorbed in dreams, and he may think himself a different person or may think himself lost, but actually his identity is intact. This concept of being lost is due to false ego, and it continues as long as one is not awakened to the sense of his existence as an eternal servant of the Lord. The Mayavadi philosopher's concept of becoming one with the Supreme Lord is another symptom of being lost in false ego. One may falsely claim that he is the Supreme Lord, but actually he is not. This is the last snare of Maya's influence upon the living entity. To think oneself equal with the Supreme Lord, or to think oneself to be Supreme Lord himself, is also due to false ego. Krishna, thank you, Prabhu. Prabhu, ఏమన్నా అర్థమవుతుందా ప్రభు?
లేదు ప్రభుజీ, అంటే స్టేట్మెంట్ అర్థమవుతుంది అంతే.
ఓకే. Yeah. Actually, ఏం లేదు ప్రభు, ఐడెంటిటీ, ego is always there. That is the crux of this two purports which we have read today. No matter, even if you merge into the impersonal existence, still your ego is there. Your identity, ego means identity. Okay, your identity as an individual is there, still there also. Thank you, Prabhu. Always remember one thing, Bhagavatam na. Now it is 20. Which chapter it is? 27th na?
27 ప్రభుజీ. యా.
ఇప్పుడు 32 దాకా ఇట్లానే ఉంటాయి ప్రభు అన్ని. 32 till 32 కూడా ఇట్లానే ఉంటాయి, మొత్తం ఫిలాసఫీ ఉంటుంది ప్రభు. బట్ ఆల్వేస్ రిమెంబర్ వన్ థింగ్, see, we are not reading Bhagavatam to attain the knowledge of Bhagavatam. We are reading Bhagavatam to have an association of Bhagavatam. Please remember this. We might not, these things might not go into us, but still we are taking the association of Bhagavatam. That itself is good. Okay? At particular time, particular place, it will give us the knowledge. Have this, what is saying? Have this confidence on it. That is Bhagavatam actually. Have faith and trust in it. It will give you the knowledge at right time, place, and circumstance. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Deepa Mataji, thank you for joining. You are able to read, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. Sorry for my absence, Prabhuji, all these days. I'm also missing the association. I'll read.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji, for joining.
Translation and puppet by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When by mature understanding one can realize his individuality, then the situation he accepts under false ego becomes manifest to him. Puppet. The Mayavadi philosopher's position is that at the ultimate issue, the individual is lost. Everything becomes one, and there is no distinction between the knower, the knowable, and knowledge. But by minute analysis, we can see that this is not correct. Individuality is never lost, even when one thinks that the three different principles, namely the knower, the knowledge, and the knower, the knowable, and the knowledge, are amalgamated or merged into one. The very concept that the three merge into one is another form of knowledge, and since the perceiver of knowledge still exists, how can one say that knower, knowledge, and knowable have become one? The individual soul who is perceiving this knowledge still remains an individual. Both in material existence and in spiritual existence, the individuality continues. The only difference is in the quality of the identity. In the material identity, the false ego acts, and because of false identification, one takes things to be different from what they actually are. That is the basic principle of conditional life. Similarly, when the false ego is purified, one takes everything in the right perspective. That is a state of liberation. It is stated in Ishopanishad that everything belongs to Lord. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Everything exists on the energy of the Supreme Lord. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita because everything is produced of his energy and exists on his energy. The energy is not different from him, but still the Lord declares, I am not there. When one clearly understands one's constitutional position, everything becomes manifest. False egoistic acceptance of things conditions one, whereas acceptance of things as they are makes one liberated. The example given in the previous verse is applicable here. Due to absorption of one's identity in his money, when the money is lost, he thinks that he is also lost. But actually, he is not identical with the money, nor does the money belong to him. Then the actual situation is revealed. We understand that the money does not belong to any individual person or living entity, nor is it produced by man. Ultimately, the money is the property of the Supreme Lord, and there is no question of its being lost. But as long as as one falsely thinks I am the enjoyer or I am the Lord, the concept of life continues and one remains conditioned. As soon as this false ego is eliminated, one is liberated. As confirmed in Bhagavatam, situation in one's real constitutional position is called mukti or liberation. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. We are missing your association, Mataji, seriously. Last few
I'm
days.
sorry, Prabhu. I will try to join every day.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Mataji, which sloka Mataji you have recited just now? Which is number?
Shloka recite cheyaledu, Prabhuji.
Number of this.
This is
27,
16,
16.
Prabhuji.
16.
27, 3.27.16.
Okay. Thank you.
So, yeah, Sandhya Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam.
Hello, Mataji. Please read.
Translation and puppet by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: Sri Devahuti inquired, My dear Brahmana, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is their separation possible? Puppet: Devahuti, the mother of Kapiladeva, here makes her first inquiry. Although one may understand that spirit, soul, and matter are different, their actual separation is not possible, either by philosophical speculation or by proper understanding. The spirit soul is the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord, and matter is the external potency of the Lord. The two eternal potencies have somehow or other been combined. And since it is so difficult to separate one from other, how is it possible for the individual soul to become liberated? By practical experience, one can see that when the soul is separated from the body has no real existence. And when the body is separated from the soul, one cannot perceive the existence of the soul. As long as the soul and the body are combined, we can understand that there is life. But when they are separated, there is no manifested existence of the body or the soul. This question asked by Devahuti of Kapila Deva is more or less impelled by the philosophy of voidism. The voidists say that consciousness is a product of a combination of matter, and that as soon as the consciousness is gone, the material combination dissolves, and therefore there is ultimately nothing but voidness. This absence of consciousness is called nirvana in Mayavada philosophy.
Good job, Mataji. Yeah, he can read this.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As there is no separate existence of the earth and its aroma, or of water and its taste, there cannot be any separate existence of intelligence and consciousness. Purport, the example is given here that anything material has an aroma. The flower, the earth, everything has an aroma. If the aroma is separated from the matter cannot be identified. If there is no taste to water, the water has no meaning. If there is no heat in the fire has no meaning. Similarly, when there is want of intelligence, spirit has no meaning. Thank you so much, Professor.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Madhavi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji,
Dhamma Mataji. Yeah, please read.
translation. Hence, even though he is the passive performer of all activities, how can there be freedom for the soul as long as material nature acts on him and binds him? Purport. Although the living entity desires freedom from the contamination of matter, he is not given release. Actually, as soon as the living entity puts himself under the control of the modes of material nature, his acts are influenced by the qualities of material nature and he becomes passive. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Prakrute kriyamane gunaha. The living entity acts according to the qualities of modes of material nature. He falsely thinks that he is acting, but unfortunately he is passive. In other words, he has no opportunity to get out of the control of material nature because it has already conditioned him. In Bhagavad Gita, it is also stated that it's very difficult to get out of the clutches of material nature. One may try in different ways to think that everything is void in the ultimate issue, that there is no God, that even if the background of everything is spirit, it is impersonal. This speculation may go on, but actually it is very difficult to get out of the clutches of material nature. Devahuti poses the question that although one may speculate in many ways, where is liberation as long as one is under the spell of material nature? The answer is also found in Bhagavad Gita 7.14. Only one who has surrendered himself unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Krishna, Mamyeviye Prapadyante, can be freed from the clutches of Maya. Since Devahuti is gradually coming to the point of surrender, her questions are very intelligent. How can one be liberated? How can one be in a pure state of spiritual existence as long as he is strongly held by the modes of material nature? This is also an indication to the false meditator. There are many so-called meditators who think, I am the Supreme Spirit Soul. I am conducting the activities of material nature. Under my direction, the sun is moving and the moon is rising. They think that by such contemplation or meditation, they can become free. But it's seen that just 3 minutes after finishing such nonsensical meditation, they are immediately captured by the force of material nature. Immediately after his eye-sounding meditation, a meditator becomes thirsty and wants to smoke or drink. He is under the strong grip of material nature, yet he thinks that he is already freed from the clutches of Maya. This question of devotee is for such a person who falsely claims that he is everything, that ultimately everything is void, and that there are no sinful or pious activities. These are all artistic inventions. Actually, unless a living entity surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as instructed in Bhagavad Gita, there is no liberation or freedom from the clutches of Maya.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Vani Mataji. Hare Krishna, Vani Mataji.
Prabhuji, I'm driving, Prabhuji.
Okay, okay,
I
Mataji.
won't be able to read. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Chandravan Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. You're able to read, Prabhuji?
See, driving lo nalla. Just a hearing mode.
Okay, okay. Then I'll read. 3.27.20 translation. Even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation and inquiry into the fundamental principles, it may still appear again, since its cause has not ceased. Purport. Material bondage is caused by the putting oneself under the control of matter because of the false ego of lording it over material nature. Bhagavad Gita 7.27 states, Ichha Desa Samuthena. Two kinds of propensities arise in the living entity. One propensity is Ichha, which means desire to the Lord it over material nature. Which means desire to Lord it, it over material nature, or to be as great as the Lord. Everyone desires to be the greatest personality in this material world. Dvesa means envy. When one becomes envious of Krishna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one thinks, why should Krishna be the all and all? I am as good as Krishna. These two items, desire to be Lord and envy of the Lord, are the beginning cause of material bondage. As long as a philosopher, Calvinist or Voidist has some desire to be supreme, to be everything, or to deny existence of God, the cause remains and there is no question of liberation. Question of is liberation. Devahuti is very intelligent, says one may theoretically analyze and says that by knowledge he has become freed, but actually as long as that cause exists, he is not free. Bhagavad Gita confirms that after performing such speculative activities for many births, when actually comes to his real consciousness and surrender unto the Supreme Lord, Krishna, then the fulfillment of his research in knowledge is actually achieved. There is a gulf of difference between the theoretical freedom and actual freedom from material bondage. The Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.4 says that if one gives up the auspicious path of devotional service and simply tries to know the things by speculation, one wastes his valuable time. Klishantiye kevala bodha labdhaye. The result of such labor of love is simply labor. There is no other result. The labor of speculation is ended only by exhaustion. The example is given that there is no benefit of asking the skin of an empty paddy. The rice is already gone. Similarly, simply by speculative process, one cannot be freed from material bondage, for the cause still exists. One has to nullify the cause and then the effect will be nullified. This is explained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the following verses. Hare Krishna, Lalit Mohan Prabhuji, you want to read?
No, Prabhu, I'm done now.
One more time we'll read, Prabhuji. Means 10 minutes we can read. We have 10 minutes.
Okay, Prabhu. The Supreme
Prabhuji,
Personality of Godhead.
any sloka
Huh?
recitation today? Means I can share my screen and I can have my breakfast. Means after 9 o'clock, if something is there.
You check, Prabhu. Did he give any shlokas to us today? I didn't go through that.
Today's sloka, he has given something.
He has given, Prabhu.
Yeah, okay. After 9 o'clock we'll start, Prabhuji.
But make time unda 9 tarvata.
9 tarvata I can share my screen, Prabhuji. I can have breakfast.
Okay. So I'll read this one shloka fast, Prabhu. Okay. How much study we have? అందరూ కవర్ అవుతారు ప్రభు. నేనైతే చదివేస్తాం, అందరూ చదవగలరు మరి.
ఏం కాదు ప్రభుజీ, చదవండి ప్రభుజీ.
Okay, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one can get liberation by seriously discharging devotional service unto me, and thereby hearing for a long time about me or from me. One can get liberation by seriously discharging devotional service unto me, and thereby hearing for a long time about me or from me. By thus executing one's prescribed duties, there will be no reaction, and one will be freed from the contamination of matter. Okay. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Sridhara Swami comments in this connection that by association with material nature alone, one does not become conditioned. Conditional life begins only after one is infected by the modes of material nature. If someone is in contact with the police department, that does not mean that he is criminal. As long as one does not commit criminal activities, even though there is a police department, he is not punished. Similarly, a liberated soul is not affected although he is in material nature. Even the Supreme Personality of Godhead is supposed to be in association with the material nature when he descends, but he is not affected. One has to act in such a way that in spite of being in the material nature, he is not affected by contamination. One more time, Prabhuji, sorry. One has to act in such a way that in spite of being in material nature, he is not affected by contamination. Although the lotus flower is in association with the water, it does not mix with the water. That is how one has to live, as described here by the personality of Godhead, Kapila Deva. Animitta nimittena swadharmena malatmana. One can be liberated from all adverse circumstances. Prabhu, I'll read this one para,
Yeah,
and then
yes,
you can give it
yes,
to others.
Prabhuji. Yeah.
One can be liberated from all adverse circumstances simply by seriously engaging in devotional service. How this devotional service develops and becomes mature is explained here. In the beginning, one has to perform his prescribed duties with a clean mind. Clean consciousness means Krishna consciousness. One has to perform his prescribed duties in Krishna consciousness. There is no necessity of changing one's prescribed duties. One simply has to act in Krishna consciousness. In discharging Krishna conscious duties, one should determine whether by his professional or occupational duties, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is satisfied. In another place in Bhagavatam, it is said, Swanustisthaya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. Everyone has some prescribed duties to perform, but the perfection of such duties will be reached only if the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is satisfied by such actions. For example, Arjuna's prescribed duty was to fight, and the perfection of his fighting was tested by the satisfaction of Krishna. Krishna wanted him to fight, and when he fought for the satisfaction of Lord, that was the perfection of his professional devotional duty. Professional devotional duty. On the other hand, when the contrary to the wish of Krishna, he was not willing to fight, that was imperfect. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you. Deepa Mataji, you want to read? Hare Krishna, Deepa Mataji. Akincha Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, yes, Prabhu. I want.
Yeah.
If one wants to perfect his life, he should discharge his prescribed duties for the satisfaction of Krishna. One must act in Krishna consciousness, for such actions will never produce any reaction. Anta nimittena. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Yagnartha karmano nyatra. All activities should be performed simply for yagna or for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Anything otherwise without the satisfaction of Vishnu or yagna produces the bondage. So here it is also prescribed Kapila Muni that one can transcend material entanglement by acting in Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhu, screen
కనిపిస్తలేదా?
some issue. ఇప్పుడు వచ్చింది Prabhu. It's not your problem. It's my side problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Prescribed by the Kapila Muni for the that one can transcend material entanglement by acting in Krishna consciousness, which means seriously engaging in devotional service. This serious devotional service can develop by here for the long time. Chanting and hearing is the beginning of the process of devotional service. One should associate with devotees and hear from them about the Lord's transcendental appearance, activities, disappearance, instructions, etc. There are two kinds of shrutis or scriptures. One is spoken by the Lord and the other is spoken about the Lord and its devotees. Bhagavad Gita is the former and the Srimad Bhagavatam the later. One must hear the scriptures repeatedly from reliable sources in order to become fixed in serious devotional service. Through engagement in such devotional service, one becomes freed from the contamination of Maya. It is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam that hearing about Supreme Personality of Godhead cleanses the heart of all contamination caused by the influence of the three modes of the material nature. By continuous regular hearing, the effects of contamination of lust and greed to enjoy or the Lord it over the material nature diminish, greed diminish, one then becomes situated in the mode of goodness. This is the stage of a Brahman realization or spiritual realization. In this way, one becomes fixed on the transcendental platform. Remaining fixed on the transcendental platform is liberation from the material entanglement. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, we'll stop here at text 21. We'll continue to read from 22 tomorrow. We'll go to the recitation. Yeah, Girish Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Lalitman Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Am I audible, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. ఈ 2 శ్లోకాస్ అనుకుంటా ప్రభుజీ చేయమంటున్నాడు చిత్రకేతుస్ లామెంటేషన్.
ఓకే.
ఇవి చేస్తున్నాం ప్రభుజీ మనం లాస్ట్ టైం.
అంటే 6th క్యాంటోలో ఉన్నాం ప్రభుజీ. 6th క్యాంటోలో నెక్స్ట్ 2 శ్లోకాస్ వాళ్ళకి ఇది అనుకుంటా, ఈ 2 అనుకుంటా.
ఓకే ప్రభుజీ. యా విల్ డు దిస్ 2 శ్లోకాస్ ప్రభుజీ.
వృత్రాసురు అయిపోయింది కదా, చిత్రకేతు వస్తుంది తర్వాత. నాకు చిత్రకేతు
స్క్రీన్ ఓకేనా ప్రభుజీ? స్క్రీన్
యా కనపడుతుంది, అందరికి కనపడుతుంది. అడగండి ప్రభు, కొంచెం పెద్ద చేయాలంటే చేయండి, లేకపోతే చాలా సింపుల్ అండ్ ఈజీ శ్లోకాస్, మంచి శ్లోకాస్ ఈ 2 కూడా. ముక్తనామపి సిద్ధానం నారాయణ పరసర. ఇట్స్ ఓకే ప్రభు. ఫస్ట్ శ్లోక ప్రభుజీ, ఫస్ట్ శ్లోక మీన్స్ దట్ ముక్తనామపి సిద్ధానం నారాయణ పరాయణ సుదుర్లభం ప్రశాంతాత్మ కోటిస్వపి మహాముని. Chitraketu laments that what is it?
1 second, Prabhu. Raju Prabhu, you can drop off if you want, since you have office. Okay, I will take over another 15 minutes. You continue.
Prabhuji, actually I'll eat by the time, because I can share my screen, I can have parallelly, have breakfast.
Acha. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, 9 to 9:50, 9:30. I will eat in daily 9 o'clock, Prabhuji. I'll go by 9:50, 9:20 to office.
అదే అంటున్నా, ఇప్పుడు మీరు రష్ లో ఉంటే ఇట్స్ ఓకే.
లేదు ప్రభుజీ, ఐ కెన్ షేర్ మై స్క్రీన్.
అయితే ఓకే కంటిన్యూ అయితే ప్రభు చేయండి 9:15కి ఒకసారి ఒకసారి చెప్పి చేయండి ప్రభు, ఎందుకంటే మాకు ఈ వీకెండ్లో ఉంది ఎగ్జామ్. టుమారో
sure.
మళ్ళా ఈ 2 ప్లస్ అంతకుముందు 4 వృత్రాసుర 4 ప్రేయర్స్, ట్రాన్స్జెండల్ క్వాలిటీస్ ఆఫ్ వృత్రాసుర 4, ఇవి 2 ఈ రేపొక రోజు ఇవి 2 ప్రాక్టీస్ చేద్దాము. వెన్స్డే, థర్స్డే, ఫ్రైడే నెక్స్ట్ 3 days వీ హ్యావ్ టు ప్రాక్టీస్ ఆల్ ద ఎంటైరిటీ 6 verses. అది ఓకేనా? హరే కృష్ణ.
Okay,
Till
okay.
end of the class means I can share in. It will be in the sharing mode, Prabhuji. Whether I'm there or not, you can directly.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Paul.
Should I go ahead, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, should I go ahead?
Hari bol, please go ahead, bro.
Yeah. Muktanam api siddhanam Narayana Parayana. You know, of those siddha or of those liberated souls who thinks that Narayana is the most, the service to the Narayana is the most, Sudurlabha Prashantatma. They are very rare. Okay, first thing is they are very rare, and the next thing is they are always at peace. Prashantatma. Kotishvapi Mahamuni. They are very rare in such a way that there will be only one in the millions. Okay, or one in the trillions. That is the meaning of this. It is very, very rare to get the association of devotee. Okay, pure devotee. That is the meaning of this shloka. And next shloka also I will just give the glimpse at this thing. This is context is while Parvati curses the Chitraketu. This is the Chitraketu's this thing. This is how Chitraketu thinks about himself. Things about the devotees. Lord Shiva actually tells to Parvati that what have you done, and you know how the devotee thinks. And in that context, this shloka comes actually. Narayana para sarve nakutaschana bibhyati varga pavarga narakeshva apitulyartha darshinaha. The second line is important here. Nakutaschana bibhyati. Nakutaschana means any of these places, bibhyati, he will fear of. He will not fear any of these places. What are those places? Svarga, Apavarga, Narakeshva. Okay. He will not fear Svarga and he will not fear Apavarga. Apavarga means liberation. And Naraka. He will not fear Naraka also. Apitulyartha darshinaha. He will see all these things equally. Tulya means samanam, equal. Apitulyartha darshinaha. He will see all these things equally. What are all these three things? Svarga, liberation, and Naraka. For him, all these things are equal. Na kutaschana bibhyati. Kutaschana means these places. Kutaschana means places. And bibhyati means no fear. He will not fear all these things. Understood, na? Understood the lines of this shloka. So we will directly hop on into the shlokas. Will that be okay to everyone?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So okay, 6:14:5 we will do now. Please repeat after me. Like as these shlokas are small, we will do 2 lines together directly. Okay. I hope everyone can get that. No new devotees, na? All are okay. Regular devotees only. So we'll do 2 lines together directly. Muktanam api siddhanam Narayana Parayanaha. Please repeat. Muktanam api siddhanam Narayana Parayanaha.
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 Sudurlabha Prashantatma कोटिष्वपि महामुने
सुदुर्लभः
सुदुर्लभः प्रशान्तात्मा कोटिष्वपि महामुने
सुदुर्लभः प्रशान्तात्मा कोटिष्वपि महामुने
सुदुर्लभः प्रशान्तात्मा कोटिष्वपि महामुने
सुदुर्लभः प्रशान्तात्मा कोटिष्वपि महामुने.
All the 4 lines together 3 times now. Please repeat. Muktanamapi siddhanam Narayana Parayanah Sudurlabha Prashantatma Kotishvapi Mahamune.
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 Okay. Will you start individual practice? Or should I go? Should I read the next one also? Then we will do it together.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Should I do the next one also?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Narayana para sarve nakutascha bibhyati. Please repeat. Narayana para sarve nakutascha bibhyati.
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 Svargapavarga narakeshva apitulyarthadarshinaha.
Svargapavarga narakeshva
Svargapavarga narakeshva apitulyarthadarshinaha.
Svargapavarga
Svargapavarga narakeshva apitulyarthadarshinaha.
Svargapavarga narakeshva.
Okay, all the 4 lines together now. Narayana para sarve nakutascha bibhyati Svargapavarga narakeshva apitulyarthadarshinaha.
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 नारायण परा सर्वे न कुतश्चन बिभ्यति स्वर्गापवर्ग नरकेष्व अपि तुल्यार्थदर्शिनः
नारायण परा सर्वे न कुतश्चन बिभ्यति स्वर्गापवर्गनरकेष्वा अपि तुल्यार्थदर्शिनः
Yeah. So can you start individual practice one by one? Who will go first? Yeah, go ahead, Madam.
मुक्तानामपि सिद्धानां नारायणापरायणः सुदुर्लभप्रशान्तात्मा कोटिष्वपि महामुने नारायणपरा सर्वे न कुतश्च न बिभ्यति स्वर्गापवर्गनरकेष्व अपि तुल्यार्थदर्शिनः.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Should we
Mataji.
do the translation, Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna.
Should I do?
Cheppandi,
Should I
Mataji.
do
Cheppandi.
O great sage, among many millions who are liberated and perfect in knowledge of liberation, one may be a devotee of Lord Narayana or Krishna. Such devotees who are fully peaceful are extremely rare. Devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
I will recite, Prabhu.
Yeah, please.
Exam participant. Huh? Okay, thank you for reciting, Prabhu. Srimad Bhagavatam 6.14.5 King Chitraketu's lamentation. Muktanamapi siddhanam narayana parayanaha sudurlabha prashantatma kotishvapi mahamune. O great sage, among many millions who are liberated and perfect in knowledge of liberation, one may be a devotee of Lord Narayana or Krishna. Such devotees who are fully peaceful are extremely rare. Extremely rare, and then I was thinking, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanamante Gyanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudevam Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Haribol. Thank you. Next verse, Mother Parvati curses Chitraketu 6.17.28. Narayana para sarve nakutascha na bibhyati swargapavarga narakeshva api tulyartha darshinaha. Prabhupada, this is one of the frequently quotes. Nakutascha na bibhyati. Devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of God and Narayana never fear any condition of life. Abhaya Charanaranda Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, the hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. I think Vani Mata is also there. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam.
Yeah, continue. Mata.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji. King Chitraketu's lamentation 6.14.5. Muktanamapi siddhanam narayana parayana sudurlabha prashantatma kotishvapi mahamune. Translation: O great sage, among many millions who are liberated and perfect in knowledge of liberation, one may be a devotee of Lord Narayana or Krishna. Such devotees who are fully peaceful are extremely rare. Mother Parvati curses Chitraketu 6.17.28. Narayana para sarve nakutascha bibhyati swarga narkeshva api tulyartha darshina. Translation: devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, Hare Krishna. Muktanamapi siddhanam narayana parayana sudurlabha prashantatma kotishvapi mahamune. Narayana परः सर्वे न कुतश्चन बिभ्यति स्वर्गापवर्गनरकेष्वा अपि तुल्यार्धदर्शिनः। हरे कृष्ण।
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Mataji, go ahead.
Srimad Bhagavatam 6.14.5 Muktanamapi siddhanam narayana parayanah sudurlabha prasannatma koti swapi mahamuni narayana para sarve na kotaschana vidyati swargapavarga narakeshva api tulyata darshinah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Sandhya Mataji, are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
King Chitraketu's lamentation, Srimad Bhagavatam 6.14.5. Muktanamapi siddhanam narayana parayanah sudurlabha prashantatma kotishvapi mahamune. Mother Parvati curses Chitraketu, Srimad Bhagavatam 6.17.28. Narayana para sarve nakutascha bibhyati swargapavarga narakeshva api tulyartha darshinaha. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Akinchan Prabhu? Akinchan Prabhu?
I will read, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Muktanam api siddhanam narayana.
Any one devotee can do it, huh? Any one devotee do it, please. Both responded.
Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayanah sudurlabha prasannatma kotiswapi mahamune. Narayana prasannatma Sorry, Prabhuji, lagging in voice.
I couldn't hear him, Prabhu. Is it for everyone or it's for me?
Everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah, also.
You go over, Prabhu. Go ahead. Prabhu, you please lead. Thank you so much.
Okay, Prabhuji. Muktanamapi siddhanam narayana paranah sudurlabha prasannatma kotishvapi mahamune narapara sarve nakutaschana bibhyati swargapavarga narakeshu api tulyartha darshina.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
Yeah, whoever. Yeah. Let me see. Garunar Prabhu, Haribol. Oh.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, shall I do?
Achayandi, yeah.
Srimad Bhagavatam 6.14.5 Muktanamapi siddhanam narayana parayanah sudurlabha prashantatma kotishvapi mahamune. Srimad Bhagavatam 6.17.28 Narayana para sarve nakutascha vibhyati swargapvarga narakeshva api tulyartha darshinah. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you so much. మీ మాత చేస్తారా?
లేదు మాతాజీకి.
ఓకే. నో ప్రాబ్లం. ఇంకా ఎవరున్నారు? హరిబోల్.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, tell change.
King Chitraketu's lamentation, Srimad Bhagavatam 6.14.5 Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayanaham sudhurlabha prasantatma kotishva api mahamuni. Mother Parvati curses Chitraketu, Srimad Bhagavatam 6.17.28 Narayana para sarve నకుతచ్చన బిభ్యతి సర్వాప స్వర్గాపవర్గ నరకేశ్వ అపితుల్యర్థ దర్శినః థ్యాంక్ యూ.
హరిబో అందరు అయిపోయినట్టేనా హరిబో?
హరే కృష్ణ ప్రభుజీ, నేను చేయమంటారా?
మళ్ళీ చేస్తారా? చేయండి.
అంటే ఇందాక వాయిస్ మీకు వినబడలేదు అన్నట్టు.
అవునవును.
ముక్తానాం అపి సిద్ధానాం నారాయణ పరాయణః సుదుర్లభ ప్రసన్నాత్మా కోటిస్వపి మహామునే. SB 6.17.28. నారాయణ పర సర్వే నా కుటచ్చన బిభ్యతి స్వర్గాపవర్గ నరకేశ్వ అపితుల్యాద దర్శినః. హరే కృష్ణ.
Hare Krishna. Okay, devotees, thank you so much for the recitation and the reading with all of us. Chandra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We'll connect tomorrow. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Gaur Hari Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Happy Monday. Okay. Raju Prabhu, ekkadi varaku aapino Bhagavatam verse పెట్టండి. నంబర్ చెప్పండి పోనీ. హరే కృష్ణ ప్రభు.
21 అయిపోయింది ప్రభుజీ. 22 నుంచి స్టార్ట్ చేయాలి.
22 నుంచి స్టార్ట్ చేయాలా? ఓకే, అది పెట్టండి.
22
గ్రూప్లో పెడితే పెట్టండి. ఓకే, హరే కృష్ణ.